What's up, Niagara? How you doing? Shawn DeLaat here from Davids DeLaat. Just wanted to introduce Beth Maricic.
Hi, thank you for having me, Shawn.
Our pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. Beth, why don't we just start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I am a mom of 3 children. I am an interior designer. Prior to that, I actually did a master's in anthropology, which led me to Teachers College. And and then I ended up having our oldest son, who's 13 now, who had special needs. And so I left teaching. I was a special ed teacher, and I left teaching to pursue a creative output. Or outlet, I should say. So I started taking courses in interior design, and about 2 years later, I started my business. So yeah, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's been wonderful.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And do you miss teaching?
It's funny that you say that. I miss elements of it, but I actually end up using a lot of the skills with working with my clients and teaching them along the way. But I will tell you, Shawn, that I don't miss the day-to-days of teaching and the bells and stuff like that. And being a special ed teacher, I'm a special ed teacher every single day with our oldest son. So being a mom to him. So that's good. That's enough for me.
Fair enough. And it's funny because you mentioned, a master's.
Yeah, I got a master's, yeah.
And then you went to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason I asked that, because I had a brief thought about teaching. I went to university, I took geography, and I finished. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? The reason I took it is because I did well in high school. And so I just took it in university. And when I was all said and done, I'm like, should have thought things out a little better. Someone suggested going to teacher school. And then I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? I've gone to school a lot already, and don't want to quite do that. So I kind of pivoted from that to marketing and sales at Niagara College. And then from there, my cousin, who is a realtor, invited me to join his real estate team. And I thank him every day because he got me into this business. And I haven't looked back ever since. So it's funny where life can take you. And this is really great conversation for us because interior design is very, very important, especially in selling a home. Yeah. But what I'd actually like to touch on is you've been doing interior design now for 12 years, which is quite a long time. And it's funny, I always relate to my real estate because when I just got into real estate, this is 20 years ago, I got in when everything started to change. Agents had websites with pictures. And, before 3 or 4 years before that, they didn't. You have to go down to the MLS office and look at catalogs, or clients would get MLS books. So that started to change the game there. Also, though, HGTV came out.
Oh, I know.
Which really shook it up. Which interior design became huge, staging became huge. But not only that, I'm going to also say HGTV created a catalyst in real estate because, I come from the place where my parents built our family home and we lived there as a family for 25 years. These days, people don't do that anymore. They get the 7-year itch. They buy their house, they do some stuff to it, and it's like, okay, no, they watch HGTV, go, okay, we need this or that, and it's really changed the game. So I'm kind of asking you, is even just in your 12 years, from when you first started to now, have you even noticed, has it even changed even more?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's actually really funny that you said about the HGTV thing. So I have so many people who think that interior design works just like HGTV in terms of timelines and everything. And it's hilarious. It's really funny that you say that. But yeah, no, definitely. I would say even particularly since COVID, since all of this has changed, I ended up actually having to pivot my business, my interior design business, online. So that's been a huge, massive change. And it's funny because I'm seeing a lot more other interior designers doing it as well. So particularly my business, eDesign, is completely online. And I decided to cater to the client who can project manage but needs help kind of putting it all together. So I do it all virtually, and I actually create an online website for them that's interactive, that has all the links to the products, to the contacts they need to connect with locally in their region, and it's pretty amazing. So that's a huge change from 12 years ago until
Absolutely.
today.
Well, that is amazing to hear. And
Yeah.
because I've always said COVID is going to bring some great things out of it.
Yeah.
And so many pivots. There's anyone who's kind of running a business, a lot of business, tons pivots the word, I would say, of the past
Totally.
3 months.
Absolutely.
And everyone's kind of doing different things to pivot this and that. You know, for us in real estate, there was a small pivot to virtual, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, people still need to see a house. And we kind of all knew that anyway. So I knew the virtual aspect wouldn't last. We were virtual anyways. We always had virtual tours because we wanted to attract to those out of town buyers as well. But the virtual aspect didn't work for us. But I do see it working in a lot of other businesses like yourself. So that is super cool to hear that you made that change.
Yeah, it's been interesting because a lot of people told me that, oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I've been doing cottages up in Muskoka. I have a property that I've been working on in Waterloo, another one down here, all over the place. And I've gotten great successful reviews about it. So yeah, it's funny. I've trialed it for a long time now that it seems to be working really well.
That's great.
And I think it's also different with the virtual walkthroughs because because I have such a huge construction background too, I can stop when we do our meetings and say, okay, what's that? That's a feed. Mark that on your drawing and stuff like that. And I have that
Nice.
ability to do all that,
Cool.
which is very helpful.
So that's great. So you're really kind of helping those who have somewhat of a knowledge already. You're just kind of pointing them in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So say they don't have quite, and you know, I know some people have great style and design sense and others don't. So what you're providing them is saying, hey, you can do these changes, but I'll help you with the designs.
And how to
different
put it all
things.
together.
Yeah.
How to put, because a lot of people will want, say, a modern kitchen, but say the modern kitchen doesn't necessarily jive with the rest of the house.
Fair enough.
Which I'm sure you see that sometimes with people.
Absolutely.
So I really help people not make those mistakes, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and really help to put it together.
And you know what? Us as realtors appreciate you helping people not make those mistakes.
Thank you.
Because it is true. Sometimes we go into people's houses and, you know, they want a market evaluation, and you leave the house after and you scratch your head saying, why did they do that?
Yeah.
You know, they niche marketed themselves so much. It's kind of funny, like in Port Dalhousie, there's a gentleman who has probably pretty much the most expensive house currently listed in our market, but he built it so unique that his specific, like, he's made it very hard to sell because it's just that classic kind of, you know, century look that, you know, comes from England and the Queen's Age kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we can all agree that's not really what people are looking for these days.
So is he buying that to sell it then?
Oh no, he built it himself, and
Okay.
now he's selling it, and
Okay.
it's like, you know, $7 million. And so any young wealthy guy's not buying it because it's not their style, and really any older wealthy person, they want something smaller anyway. So he's really kind of created a little spot for himself. So I agree. Getting great advice in doing things around your home is great. And I'll be honest, I'm not the person to ask.
Yeah.
I do always refer a designer or even sometimes a stager because I am one who is not good with picking and matching and doing all that stuff out. I don't have a design sense whatsoever. So that's fantastic. So navigating the current climate, discussion around the effects of COVID-19, both quarantine ongoing as interior design. I know you talked about the pivot.
Yeah.
So, you know, do you so it's really working well for you for people who are far away. Do you still do actually any consulting more in around your kind of neighborhood and stuff like that?
Yes. I've just started. I've just opened up. But I got to say, as a mother of 3 school-age children, it's been a little bit tricky, Shawn.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And my husband's an essential worker too, so he's working all the time. So so I found that pivot a little bit tricky. But yes, I am seeing clients now at their houses, taking safety measures and
For
stuff
sure.
like that.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. And you know what? I can definitely relate with you with the kids being home. I think it's put numerous different things as far as pressures, like for families, some kids being home, even the old, my mom, there was really worried about her initially just because when it first kind of came out, you didn't know what to do. You were told to stay away. So it was just constant FaceTime, and then as things changed and came along. But I can certainly understand where you're at with the child dynamic and working from home. And I know my wife's had some challenges with the kids as well, and it's tough. And not only that, it's tough on them too.
Oh, totally.
It's totally tough on them, the routine and everything like that. So who knows? We'll see what happens in September. But they're saying it might be a go, and for the kids' mental health and stuff like that, which I can agree. Like they can't keep going and missing. So that's great. Let's talk about some things now, because you're the perfect person to talk to. Is I'm sure a lot of people who will be listening or watching will want to know what are things you can do to add additional value to your home, and maybe some misconceptions and mistakes home sellers make with choosing the wrong focus.
Okay, so I would say, and you are the expert in this too, so I'm from a design perspective though, I always think that you add value to your home by renovating a kitchen or a bathroom. Those are always the ones that I really like to focus on. However, I like to do it right. So, and I think, and you can help me out with this, Shawn, but I like to add value. So in adding value, you want to make sure that the design is a good design for the kitchen, that it flows with the rest of the house. It's not a piecemeal. So I'm not a big fan of just spending money and throwing stone countertops in your kitchen. That needs to be updated, because I find it's sad. I often go into houses afterwards where people have just bought the house and I'm tearing it out and having to throw it out, and it seems like such a waste of money.
Absolutely. And you know what? I agree with you on that. Well, first off, the rule in real estate is kitchens and bathrooms sell houses.
Yeah.
If someone has a beautiful kitchen and a nice bathroom, people will take that and they will fix whatever else. But I also agree with you in the sense of some people like to, if they're selling their home, they want to save cost. Mm-hmm. So you're right. What you're talking about is the kitchen refresh, where they maybe just paint their current cabinets, which are old, 80s oak, painted white, and throw, a beautiful granite countertop on it, which to the perception is like, yes, I've updated my kitchen. They call it an updated kitchen, but I will never, if I list a property that has that, I will never call it an updated kitchen. I do make sure I use the word refreshed, because it's very important, because if people think updated, they think they're going to get the brand new white shaker cabinets with the nice brass fixtures and the gorgeous counters. But really what they're getting is grandma's old kitchen, just with some new hardware and a new counter.
Yeah.
And, absolutely correct. People end up buying those homes, ripping out the kitchens, and putting brand new kitchens in. So did that seller actually make their house more saleable? No. The person was going to buy the house anyways because they like the layout and the space and different things like that. So I do agree that kitchens and bathrooms are definitely one place, probably the top place you want to look at if you're going to do it. But I also do recommend people, especially in our Niagara market, to reach out to a realtor before they even start doing that. Because one thing is, and I always like to share an example. So I had a gentleman who enlisted me to sell his home. I met with them. He had a list of things that he was going to do, and he had it all itemized cost value. It was going to cost him $55,000. And I said, you know what? That's fine. You definitely will make your house more saleable, and you'll get the price that I give you, plus pretty much your improvements. But I said, why don't you just try doing this $5,000 of items, which was some paint, some baseboards, some flooring, and that's about it. And you do that, and you'll probably get the price I'm talking about, maybe even more, and sure enough, he says, no problem. I appreciate that. I'll take your advice, Shawn. And 3 months later, he calls me up. I show up to the property, and he did his full list.
Oh, no.
And with that being said, the $55,000 he spent, he actually ended up getting $60,000 more than the price I gave him. But you take his $55,000, it didn't really put him further ahead in it.
Interesting.
All it was a lot of time that he spent. And don't get me wrong, he made it nice for the next person to enjoy. But where the market was at that time, and when he was ready to list, if he actually did just the $5,000, I could have put him ahead further. So, in our market here in Niagara, it is very cautious because of price points and the way properties are selling and the demand for houses. I do encourage people to definitely reach out, but I also encourage people that there is an opportunity to improve saleability, and there's definitely things that you can do to get that done.
Sorry, Shawn, just one question. What about, do you ever encourage people, or how often do you see people who buy a house and they say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to renovate this, we're going to renovate that. And then, 6 years later, you see them again and they want to, or they've just renovated, literally just renovated, and now they decide to put it on the market. Do you see a lot of those people?
I see it all the time.
Okay.
It is huge.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You hit the nail right on the head when I help people, young couples, or second houses they buy because their family's growing, and you know what, they know it needs work, but it's got the great lot and everything they want. And they're like, yeah, we'll fix the house and we'll make it our own over the years, Shawn. Okay, perfect, no problem. Call me when it's done, thinking that sometimes they might be 2 years. Well, sure enough, 5 years later. I get the call. Shawn, we finally did our kitchen. We want you to come by and check it out. So I go by there thinking I'm just going to hang out, see them. It's nice catch-up time, see the kitchen. What's going on, guys? I'm going to tell you, 8 times out of 10 when I do those visits, Shawn, what's my house worth? We want to sell. And they don't even have the opportunity to enjoy their kitchen. Yeah. But I call that the HGTV factor.
I know.
That's really what it is. They watch HGTV. They want to improve their property. They want it to look like an HGTV house. But once they've kind of done it, they're either, wanting, again, more space or something different, or kids have left and they've just taken that long to get to the kitchen. And they actually end up doing the kitchen, though, like you said, to improve the value, to get them a better buck, which... At that point, owning the house for 5 years, redoing the kitchen, home run. You are going to get the value, the increase in the market, plus the value. So really great thing they did. But yes, it's very funny that you asked that. So many times they'll do it right before they sell. They don't have an opportunity to enjoy it. But what they did do is increase the value of their house and does make it possible for them to make their next move. So see it so many times. Yeah. Now, we are in the summer season. Advice for those looking to sell their home this summer. Key areas to focus on. Now, let's talk internally and then we'll go externally.
Okay. Well, as we already talked about, kitchens and baths. That's my specialty. That's where my love is in kitchen and baths, or main floor living. Pretty much. But also, I would say with summer now, everybody's moving outside. So I would really focus on the outdoor and really enjoying your outdoor space. Actually creating a living room and a dining room outside, and possibly an outdoor kitchen if you're able to, is lovely. And it provides another whole living space to your outside where you can enjoy. And
absolutely. And you know what? That is fantastic, because I already see a trend in people gravitating to properties that may have a pool, or just a bigger yard where it has a pool and yard space, or that it has a beautiful landscape, like you said, outdoor living area. With some of the things that are going on in the world today, it's kind of changed everyone's perspective. Limited travel. We certainly are hanging out a lot more with our families. Yeah. But not only that, we are now able to visit with people and have them over at our house. So why not make a great space for those who come over and visit to hang out and entertain in? And so I have a pool. I got that part already taken care of. But yes, I am looking at extending my patio, putting out a pergola that has the drapes, which I'm going to make it like a kind of cabana. Like if you went to Las Vegas by the pool and had the cabana, I'm making it like a cabana kind of thing, staycation area outside.
Yeah.
And also want to look at doing an outdoor kitchen as well. So I see these as being fantastic things. I see these as being huge selling features down the road. In the past, people have spent, I've seen people spend extensive amounts
I'm sure you have.
in the backyard. And we're not talking, $50,000, $60,000. We're talking $200,000, $250,000. And when you look at the backyard, you can see that they spent this. But just because you spent $250,000 in your backyard doesn't mean the next guy's going to come and give you that money. Just because you paid so much for your huge armor stone rocks and all that stuff, the person appreciates the job you did, but unfortunately, they're not going to give you dollar for dollar back. So I think there is certain things with doing your backyard that, you can really focus on. One thing that is pools. In the past, I never encouraged people to actually put a pool in. Because they go and they call the pool company and they get the quote and the guy's like, yeah, it's going to be $50,000 to put the pool in. But that's the pool. Then you don't add on all this concrete and the landscaping and everything like that. And then you're at $80,000 to $100,000 very easy. And previously that $100,000, if you called me to sell that house the next day, the next year, I couldn't get you that $100,000 dollar for dollar back.
Yeah.
Whereas if the house was completely dated, they do the kitchens and the bathroom, I could. But now what I'm seeing, and I always encourage people to actually buy a house that had the pool already in, but the house was very dated. And I said, fix the house, make it what you want. You'll get the value out there, you get the pool you want. But now with where things are kind of going, pools are going to be huge.
Would you recommend, Shawn, though, with the pools, like getting a designer, for example, to create, like, do houses need to have fence? Like, should pools have fences around them, like for families, from a resale perspective? Like, is that something that you would like? Does that help with resale?
Well, you know what I mean. Obviously, every city has its own bylaws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to put in a pool, typically, hopefully, the guy putting in the pool is pretty. I mean, you have to get a permit for that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, he's pretty well versed in what the bylaws are. But when it comes to that, I think landscape design will become very, very huge. With especially, someone who has a big backyard doing nothing. Landscape design will take that backyard and people will appreciate it. And like I said, especially too for our Niagara real estate market, we have a lot of people here moving from out of town. And, when they're moving here, they're actually selling houses substantially higher than what they're buying here. So they're coming with money in their pocket. And they thought they hit the lottery with this lovely little cheap house they bought in Niagara. And they've got money in their pocket and they are prepared to spend money in their backyard because they're coming here to have that staycation. Yeah. They want to have their family, their grandkids come by. So I do see landscape architecture, which actually, as you've noticed, it's becoming more of a thing. But I think due to what's gone on now in the world, it will become huge.
Yeah.
And personally myself, yes, if I do some landscape design in my backyard for what I'm talking about, I would probably get someone to look into it and do it for me, just so it's done right and easy. And not only that, I am a big fan of interior designers.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very, very busy person. Like I said, I don't have a lot of style taste. I could probably navigate the waters myself, but it would take me a year to get it done, to find the time, to figure out the matching and everything like that. So I encourage interior designers to be of assistance to those, because I'm telling you, they will save you a lot of time. Now, don't get me wrong. I have clients who have great style sense and they just got a knack. And some people have the gift, but there's a lot of people out there that don't have the gift. So everyone out there, what's up, Niagara? Interior design is where it's at. Get some assistance. If you want to make your house beautiful and you don't have the knack, please don't hesitate to contact interior designer for sure. So, I think we kind of touched on the backyards, tips and tricks to creating a great backyard. Now, pools also too, I do consider pool now an investment. an investment into, again, you know, typically if you put a pool in, you're going to be there for a few years. Your kids are of age. And again, that's the key thing is I find now pools are very good for many dynamics, whether, you know, I have a 9-year-old and now a 2-year-old. I've got pool time ahead of me for a long time. But not only that, I also have my in-laws who now have a resurgence in their pool again because of my kids who go over. And that's one thing I'm also finding too, is that a lot of the people moving here, especially the retirees and stuff like that, that one of their criteria is high on the list is pools. Because they want to dangle that carrot to their grandkids and have them say, hey, come down to grandma and grandpa's house and come hang out with us in the pool. And you know, you guys can come stay for the weekend. And the parents want them to get the pool because then they can push them to hey, go to grandma and grandpa's for the weekend. They got the pool. You guys have a great time. You can have all the junk food and watch the movies and everything like that. And then guess what? The parents get a little break and a little time, and maybe they have that staycation backyard that they can enjoy on their own, or have another couple over to enjoy.
Absolutely.
And I have been very huge with my outdoor space. I have doors that go to my backyard, and for me, since we've owned our house for 5 years, that's my sanctuary. I go back there, and I have convinced myself psychologically that I'm not even in St. Catharines, Ontario anymore. I'm in wherever I want to be. And the outside world is oblivious to me, and it's really great for what's going on in the current climate because it's a COVID-free zone, and it's really great to hang out. So, yeah, backyards, outdoor entertainment is huge.
One thing I always recommend too, Shawn, to my clients is like when they are doing their backyards and I'm working on them, is to remember to save some money for the actual furniture and for the finishes, because a lot of the times, just like when you're renovating inside of a house, all their budget goes to cabinets or if you're outside, the deck or the pergolas or the pool. And then when they actually try to furnish it, they don't have any money on how to do it. So I always recommend to people to put money aside for that.
That is actually a very, very good thing to say too, because at the end of the day, for someone who's bought patio furniture fairly recent, it's not cheap.
No.
And especially if you're going to put the time into creating a great outdoor space, you know, being an interior design, you can just attest to it. How you furnish it and make it look is actually going to add to it tenfold. And, you know, there's economic ways to do it, and then obviously non-economic ways. And I could totally see where that can become a problem, where they eat their budget up in the deck, or, you know what, the extra armor stone because hey, you know what, let's do 2 tiers of the armor stone. It looks way better. And it's like, don't worry about it. And then then it comes to, okay, the great space is done. What are you going to sit on?
And then they'd have nothing to sit on, and the money's gone. So always make sure that people leave money aside for that, for sure.
Awesome. Well, listen, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Shawn, for having me.
Thank you.